High school football, taking a look at the Clarke County Eagles. Unfortunately, their season coming to a close after falling to Madison County 21 to nothing last Friday night. Now joining me, the head coach of the Clarke County Eagles, Casey Childs. And Coach, I know this is not the way you wanted to end the season, but in this matchup, can you just sort of touch on what you saw out of this game? I know some people weren't playing for your Eagles team, so maybe that might have been a factor as well. But overall, what can you tell us about this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I think you summed it up a little bit there as well. Um, First of all, hats off to Madison County. They played an extremely good game. They came out ready to go and prepared, and they won the line of scrimmage. So, all credit goes to those guys and their staff for sure. They did a great job. On our end, it was just kind of like the perfect storm. We dealt with from week 9 against Luray. We had a pretty significant injury to one of our better players, Wilson Taylor, and then he really didn't play again the rest of the year. And he's just so important to both sides of the ball for us. And then, we had Tanner who got injured against Madison in week 10, and he played the following week, but found out he has a pretty significant thumb injury. So he's going to be missing some time for basketball too due to it. So when you lose those two type of kids and they're not what they have been because they're just such tremendous athletes and players and young men, that puts a major damper on what you're trying to do. And then, we have some kids. We never really had anybody. And I know it sounds like excuses because I guess ultimately you could say that. But, last week, we were missing linemen every day due to flu and sickness and injury. So it all culminated to being the kind of the perfect storm going into Friday night. And we played extremely hard. That wasn't the any kind of question at all. We played hard. We got great kids. But we didn't get it done from our coaching staff, our kids, or anything. So it was a collective effort, but it doesn't take away from the season that we had and having a perfect season in the regular season and win the Bull Run District Championship in a very, very good league. 4 teams in the league were extremely good, and we were able to win 10 and win that thing. So it doesn't take anything away. It really it kind of stinks for obviously for our kids, and there's still a lot left in the tank if we could have remained. We didn't have any injuries the entire year, and they all hit towards the end of the year. So, but that's sports, and that's definitely football. And but I'm extremely proud of everyone involved with the program.
Obviously, with the injuries and stuff, and you played Madison County a week before, do you think coming off that game last week, they sort of had an idea of what you were going to do? Do you think that was a factor from it in your mind, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, anytime you see any offense 2 weeks in a row, especially ours, which is a little bit more unorthodox with the single wing, it allows your kids to have a second week of prep for that. And, they did a good job with it. But do I think that it was a major factor on? I don't know the answer to that. I just do know that from our point of view and our standpoint of it, we just weren't at our best in any capacity, and it showed Friday. And but it wasn't for a lack of want to or a lack of playing extremely hard and playing for each other. And just a very unfortunate time there. And but our kids will press on with it. We got great kids, and we had a tremendous senior class, and extremely proud of everything they've accomplished all throughout their high school career.
I know it was probably tough to end the way this season did with all the success that this Eagles team has had. But if just one more time, if we can sort of look back here, you make win the Bull Run District, a perfect season, 10-0, a lot of great accomplishments that you checked off the box this year in a sense, Coach. But I mean, I know not getting to the ultimate goal, but how proud are you of this team collectively playing together to reach a big goal in an undefeated season in winning the Bull Run District in a sense.
Well, if you think about it, any team that makes the playoffs, there's only going to be one happy team when it's all said and done. It's the team that's holding up the state championship. So no matter when you lose in the playoffs, unless you win it all, it's going to be a downer. That's for sure. Um, and we've been there. We've lost in the state championship game before. So we've pretty much held pretty much all the different cards throughout the playoffs. And other than winning the state championship, we've pretty much seen it all. But when it comes to our kids and our team, I don't think anybody would have seen it in any kind of preseason polls that had us win the district championship when you had the likes of Strasburg and Central in there, returning a lot of kids as well. We had to replace our entire offensive and defensive lines going into this year, and those kids performed tremendously throughout the year. So, anytime you win, obviously we had a perfect season, regular season. It was the 10th in school history. So you could just tell that's a special accomplishment in itself because Clarke County football has been around for a long time, and we've had a lot of successful football seasons in school history. So anytime you can get the 10th undefeated season in school history, it's also our 23rd district championship. Those are all things that make our program so special. It's one of those things where it is bittersweet at the end, but it's one of those things where you look back throughout the year, we won so many close games. I mean, you can go through, the King William game, the Catoctin game, the Central game, the Strasburg game. There were so many really, really fourth quarter games that we were able to pull out and win that there's no way that I'm going to let what happened last Friday downplay the tremendous season that our young men had.
Absolutely. And again, just touching on your senior class, I know they were big leaders for you and this football team in a sense, just their contributions to the team and just your thoughts on the senior class, their last time playing Clarke County football and what they mean to you in this program.
One, it's one of the most special senior class we've had. It's a big senior class. They're one of the most close-knit groups of guys that you could possibly have together. They regulated themselves. There wasn't much to do on our end because if something was going wrong, they had no problem getting on one another and getting things done and getting them moving in the right direction. So their leadership and what they've given to our program and to the Clarke County community are second to none. And they're going to be, be so missed. A lot of those kids I've watched, I've refereed their games in youth basketball. I've literally watched them grow up, since they were knee high. And so it's a special group. And, it's one of those ones that we're going to hold dear to ourselves as coaching staff for a long time. Those kids just mean a lot to us as they've just given us everything that they had for 4 or 5 years, depending on if they played in the 8th grade or not. It's a tremendous group that accomplished tremendous things. And they did it the right way. And for all those things, we're going to be appreciative of it.
So looking ahead, I don't want to get too far ahead here, Coach, but I know you and your staff put together a very rigorous off-season training program. I know you might take a little bit of a break, but you mentioned all the seniors graduating out, taking a look at this Clarke County football team. I know it's early, but looking at a pretty young team coming into next year, what's the offseason looking like for you just in a nutshell?
Well, we've got to get bigger and stronger and faster. Those are all things that must happen. We are going to be young, and we lost a tremendous amount of talent and starters off of this year's team. And in my 18 years since being here, there's going to be a lot of question marks that need to be filled, and it's going to have to be with kids that need to step up and take the reins and go forward. And our goal during this off season and is to do all the things by getting stronger, getting faster, getting more explosive as athletic kids. And then at that point, we've also got to start seeing what we have to replace what we lost. And just like when you have special players, you can't replace them. You just have to find guys that are going to take the reins and keep playing hard. And we'll do that. We'll find guys that play extremely hard. But we are going to be young. We're going to be extremely young and probably one of the younger teams that we've ever had in my tenure at Clarke County for almost 20 years. So, with that being said, I mean, it's a great opportunity if you're a young kid in our football program to get on the field. And hopefully, we have some kids that take advantage of those opportunities.
What's the best way in your mind when it comes to a younger kid playing for Clarke County in your style of football with the single wing? Because the single wing, I've heard from numerous coaches, is very tough to coach in a sense. Like you have to perfect it, and there are different combinations of the single wing. If you could provide some sort of insight on what that's like trying to fit a player into the single wing system, and what is that like?
Well, I mean, we've now got the single wing running at our youth level. So all three teams of the youth team. So those things are good things for the future. The little league is all bought in and running the system. So we've had coaches clinics with those guys down there, and we've had a couple of our staff that's on our football staff now. They've got some sons that are down in the little league too, so they help out. So those are all things that are good for the program and for the future. That those kids are starting to get at an early age of some of the basic terminology and formation and run schemes that we do, and also too, things we're looking for. You can't be an unselfish player because you've got to block for one another. So if you're a skilled kid, we can still throw it. We've been able to break the school passing record out of the single wing. We've been able to break the school rushing record multiple times out of the single wing. So the offense, if you have to still run the single wing, but if you have some pieces that can do other things, the single wing can also evolve and get a little bit more from sideline to sideline and not so much being in a telephone booth. But so when you're looking for kids, you're looking for unselfish kids that want to block for one another. They have no problem carrying out ball fakes, and they're also explosive. And as a line, you need guys that can move because we pull, we trap, we do so much movement with our blocking schemes that you have to have guys that can actually move and play well in space. So those are things that you look for with the single wing and some of the personnel that you're trying to fit into it each and every year.
So once again, the Clarke County Eagles, their season comes to a close as they fall to Madison County in the first round of the playoffs, 21-0. Unique set of circumstances, Coach. Your season just gets busier with winter sports right around the corner.
Well, yeah. I mean, first of all, being both the athletic director and football coach, the fall here at Clarke County has been tremendous. Our golf team won the regional championship. Our cross country team won the district championship, the regional championship, and then the boys won the state championship, and the girls were state runner up. And then our volleyball team won the district championship, the tournament championship, the regional championship, and then made it all the way to the Final Four in the state and broke pretty much every record that we ever had, and for team records for volleyball. And then football, like we've already discussed, with 10-0 and win a district championship. So it has been an unreal amount of success for the entire fall athletic program. So I'm extremely proud of all of our athletes and our coaches for what we've been able to accomplish. And it's been almost unprecedented for the amount of success that we had this fall. And even my office has got so many trophies in it from this fall. It's kind of crazy, but just a testament of the kind of kids and coaches we have here at Clarke.
So are you ever going to get a break, or is it straight on to basketball season, scheduling that and hitting event after event after event?
Well, we have basketball scrimmages tomorrow night. So no, the answer to that question is there's no such thing as a break in my life.
Once again, the head coach of the Clarke County Eagles, Casey Childs. Coach, not the result you wanted, but as always, thank you for your time each and every week, and can't wait to catch up with you next year, sir.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.